Hey everybody, it's Leon with Bigfoot Okanagan. I wanted to do up a quick little video on if you're going to formulate a squatching team, what type of people to look for. And since I've been online for the last 3 years and stuff like that, there's just way too much kind of untrained eye in regards to forestry stuff that I find a lot of misinterpretation about what people are actually seeing. So the rule number one you're looking for in regards to if you're going to form a team is you want to find people that are used to being in the bush. And I'm not just talking about people who go camping. I'm talking about people who are used to being in the bush for a long period of time. When I was in forestry, there was times where we were in isolated areas for up to 17 days, so you really get the rhythm of what it's like to be kind of like primal rhythm that we would have in our bodies of being people who live in the bush. Unlike our culture today, which I've mentioned numerous times, is we're not from the forest anymore on top of the mountain up there. We're used to this type of culture. And so there's a shift that seems to happen, and we have to kind of retrain ourselves to get back into that. So the first person that, if you can, and you're going to be patient about it and wait for the right people to show up, but the first person you're kind of looking for is very skilled at looking at tracks and reading ground. So if you can find somebody who's a great tracker, that is going to help you out a great deal, especially when you're looking at the ground, looking at tracks and verifying weathering, age of tracks, what you're actually looking at in regards to a track, so you can decipher the difference between a double bear paw track or a double grizzly paw track compared to a Sasquatch track. So that's one person you're looking for. Another person you're looking for would be somebody who is into survival and bushcraft, because they're, again, used to being out in the bush by themselves, training themselves how to survive in different situations. Third person to look for, if you can find one, is somebody who's into search and rescue, because again, they're used to looking for things that are hard to see and looking for clues, sounds, noises, other kind of visual stuff that looks out of the norm from what they should be looking at when looking at just the general forest. Another person that you're kind of looking for is a qualified guide, hunting guide, again, because they're usually in quite isolated areas with their clients, and again, they're used to being in the bush, and they're used to the rhythm of the bush, the sounds of the bush, what to see and what not to see in the bush. So that's kind of the people that you're looking for. Now there's one other person that's kind of an important person to have, and that's a tech guy. Somebody who is really good and skilled with tech, that understands how to operate and make up videos like this, that can also do kind of local PR in the regions or areas you're searching, so the general public knows how to contact you. Why is that important? Well, there's a place I'll be taking you guys coming up here pretty quick, going out with a group of guys, hopefully in the next couple of days, to an area that's a corridor that runs east to west and west to east. And because of the research that I've been able to do in regards to people notifying me, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 reports that came in this corridor. And this corridor stretches from a mountain range over to the east, all the way down to the Okanagan Valley here where the lakes are down on this side. And they seem to be coming through, in regards to the reports, throughout the year. And the only section that I don't have right now in regards to seasons is the springtime. I know that they're in the area in August through November, and then they move from the center part of that range over to the west side, and those are because of the different sightings and footprints that seem to be showing up in the snow during the wintertime. But if they're coming in from the east to the west, they have to get back to the east. So I'm not sure. We're going to check this out this weekend to see whether or not they're actually traveling back to the other side of the valley, or that ridged corridor. And again, it's a fairly large area that they're migrating through, if that's what's happening. I don't know if that's what's happening. That's why we're doing out an area. Remember, when you're doing your searches and stuff like that, you have to find an area, you have to grid it out, you have to go back seasonally to check and verify to see if anything's changed, or if you're coming across footprints at a certain time of year compared to other types of year. That's kind of one reason why I like using helicopters in the wintertime. It just covers more area faster, and I have 4 different areas that I mentioned that I kind of research in, so it takes a long time, you guys. It's not a short kind of thing. What else was I going to do? The other interesting thing I just want to talk a little bit about was, you know, if you go online, you're looking for Sasquatch stuff, you'll go on YouTube and you'll look up Sasquatch investigators or researchers, and there's nothing wrong with checking out those videos or stuff. But the guys that I really like to check out, which I hope to do in the future, is a video on these guys, are the ones who are all 4 of those things that I suggested to you, which is guides that have their own YouTube channels, search and rescue people who have their own YouTube channels, survivalists who have their own YouTube channels, and they don't know anything about Sasquatch. And as you follow them on their YouTube channel, you'll see that they don't believe in Sasquatch and all that kind of stuff, but as they keep spending more time in the bush, they start coming across things that just doesn't seem normal to what they should be seeing. And some of them are sightings, some of them are footprints, and it's neat to find people online that have nothing to do with the Bigfoot community, and they're discovering stuff. And those are the guys that I like to be plugged into, because I know that they're genuine, I know that they're trained in what they're supposed to be doing in the forest, and I know that they have a higher capacity to really negotiate and navigate what they're actually looking at. So when they're coming across stuff that does not look right, there's got to be something there, and that's kind of my position as well. I don't quite know what we're dealing with when it comes to Sasquatch, because I don't know. I don't have coffee with them every morning. All I know is there's something out there that seems to leave evidence showing what's actually going on. So that's that part of it. And that's it. So I look forward to taking you guys up to this area. I've mentioned this area before in some of my videos, and the area we're going into it's a pretty slick looking area, and I can't wait to film it to show you how beautiful the area is. So and hopefully we'll find some interesting stuff to show you. Okay, take care of yourself, you guys. Look forward to talking to you again. Thanks a lot for your support. Feel free to share my videos, but remember to share it to the right people. I'm not looking for millions of people, just the right people. And keep going doing what you're doing, but do it with those 4 things: critical thinking, not criticizing thinking, healthy skepticism, fair hypothesis that's flexible, and remember your sincerity. You can be sincere about your hypothesis, but you can also be sincerely wrong. So you got to be flexible about the whole thing. See what you're seeing, don't project onto what you hope you're seeing. That'll get you all messed up. Take care, guys. Hi everybody, it's Leon with Bigfoot Okanagan. Spring is here, hurrah! Teen, Bigfooting, Sasquatching. I just thought I'd do a few things here and show you kind of what I have in my arsenal of what I use, and I'm going to talk a little bit about survival gear, but I'm going to do it a different way for this particular video. But I'd like to show you some other stuff and give you some ideas. Before you go and pick up anything in regards to your Bigfoot stuff, just be cautious that you don't spend thousands of dollars because you have to get the top of the line stuff. Because you can find a lot of good stuff online or at, I don't know, some of the sites like Castanet or some Facebook sites as well, where you can get used stuff, and you'll be surprised at what you can get. So most of the stuff I'm going to show you here has been under $100. And I want to kind of go through it a bit for you, so you can kind of give you some ideas of what to grab and stuff. Some of the stuff you'll know, some of this other stuff you might find a little interesting. So the first thing you want to do as a good researcher, besides going online and trying to weed yourself through all the insanity that's online, is find yourself good researchers that are online. And remember, when you're watching videos, it's not what they're telling you, the narrative, it's what they're not telling you that you got to eventually find out about them. But another good thing to do is also go and track down really good authors like Thomas Steenberg and John Bindernagel, and you know, each of them come from their own perspective on Sasquatch, but they're pretty fair and they're far from hoaxers, and those are the kind of guys you want to connect up with. So now the second thing I want to mention to you is about catastrophe. What's catastrophe, Leon? Catastrophe is when you're filming all winter long and you're using helicopters and all this great stuff, and you're talking to great people and you've interviewed them, and then 2 days ago your computer crashes with all of the videos. And unfortunately that's what's happened to me. So I'm really hoping that the tech guys can pull off a lot of that data, because I can't, it's great stuff and I can't show any of it because my computer crashed 2 days ago. Yeah, I know. Did you back it up? I usually back things up, and I usually back them up after I accumulate some things. Unfortunately this time I didn't back it up fast enough and it's crashed. So hopefully I can get that data back, and let's move on from that sadness in my heart to what I want to show you today. So again, the key part is, listen, don't pick up, you know, brand new stuff. There's other ways of doing it where you can get some pretty good quality stuff. Again, this camera you're watching me on, it cost me $100. It used to be $500 and $600 brand new, and it's been a great camera for me. And that way, if I lose it or something happens to it, I'm only out $100. I'm not out hundreds of dollars. So there's some basic stuff that you want to remember when you go out into the bush. Springtime coming, billions of mosquitoes, black flies. Bring some off with you, or find some other way. I think Michael Merchant likes to use mud from sloughs and stuff he puts all over his body. Love you, Michael. And listen, the other thing is you want to pick up bear mace. I use bear mace. Oh yeah, grab a really good holster as well. Yeah, so it's not just in your pocket, so it's stuck on you in case you fall down or something happens and getting chased, that this doesn't fall out of your pocket. Some people like to use guns, you know, as protection. I find bear mace is the best to use. Why? Because it activates a different part of the brain as soon as that mace hits those nostrils of whatever's attacking you or coming close to you. Again, where I am at, there's a lot of grizzly, there's a lot of cougars, there's a lot of black bear, and it's better to have it than not have it and get yourself in a bit of a problem. The other thing too is when you're in the bush, and especially if you're in a bush where you don't have Wi-Fi, or sorry, if you don't have cell service. Up on top of the mountain here, as soon as I get up there, I have no cell service. It's important to tell somebody where you're located and when you're going to be back, and also that you follow up with that time. If you're going to be out of the bush by 6, you text them by 6. If they don't hear from you by 6, then they can start to worry. If you're a little delayed, you can still nail them with a text. Once time moves past that, then they'll figure out whether or not you need to do something or not do something about the situation you're in. The other thing is, before we get into all the technical stuff, look, there's some easy stuff you can pick up. You want to have as many, first of all, you want to have as many batteries as you possibly can with you. Tons of batteries. Just have them extra ones. AAA, AA's. Why? Well, because you need them for your light sources that you need. This is $10, fits on my bill of my cap. This other one I got for free. A lot of these are older, so they last pretty good. This is about 5 hours on AAA's, 4 AAA's, and this one's about, I don't know, this one's been running for quite a while, almost 3 days, off and on for 3-4 days for a couple hours a day. These are double A batteries on this one. The other thing too is when you're in the bush is you want to make sure you pick up a GPS unit. I'll show you 2 on here. I'll put one to my left and one to my right. I want to caution you a little bit about the GPS units that are out there, because sometimes you can get false sense of security. What I mean by that is a lot of the GPS units that are coming out, they also have the SOS button or the help button, which automatically sends out to satellites to a station to send, if you're in trouble, you just push that SOS or that help button, and that signal goes to a rescue station, and then they'll come in and rescue you. in some cases, you want to check out the product you're using to make sure that the area in North America you're in is covered as far as satellites go, because there has been a few reports this year of people who have pushed those SOS and it didn't connect up with any cell, or satellite, sorry. So you want to make sure that you kind of you know, do your research, your due diligence online about different ones and whether or not they're actually activated and will cover the area that you happen to be in. I want to point out something else that I get people commenting to me about. Well, Leon, when you're looking at stuff, you just say, well, that's 16 inches and that's 20 inches and that's this, and how do you know that? You don't ever pull out a measuring tape. Well, actually, I do pull out a measuring tape, you just don't see it. So a good measuring tape is one that's at least an inch thick. Okay? Now, what I did when, you know, in the summertime, when I'm not carrying a coat and stuff like that, what I usually do is I'll take this like this and put it on my arm, and then I'll get a black felt and I'll mark every 6 inches with a black dot on my skin. Now, why do I do that? Well, as time moves forward and you do that on a regular basis, you don't need to do the black mark anymore, but you actually have a measuring tape, and your eyes and your brain will be plugged into the distance of 6 inches on your arm. So when you're looking at something and say you forget a measuring tape, or you stumble across something, that a track or something, you want to figure out what it is, you'll be able to use your body as a measurement tape. So it's just kind of a neat little trick to use, so that you don't necessarily have to pull this big thing out. You can go back to your vehicle or wherever you're located to go get it to verify it, but in most cases you'll be pretty close with your measurements. When I'm out in the bush, I like to have lots of cameras. I usually carry 4 cameras with me all the time. This one that you're watching me on, I carry a GoPro camera as well, and I carry an old cell phone. 2 years ago, all the videos you saw online with the Bigfoot Okanagan, it was all filmed on this. And the other thing that's kind of nice with the GoPro, if you guys have one, you'll probably know what I'm talking about here, is they give you this real fancy little, kind of like a watch strap that has 2 buttons on it. So if I'm in a quick situation, I don't have to do anything other than push my record button, so it automatically starts filming, or my take pictures button by just pushing one button instead of having to worry about it. So my cam's usually on my chest or in my hat as far as my GoPro goes. So if there's anything there, all I have to do is push that button and immediately it'll happen after I have the shock of whatever it is I'm looking at. The other thing that I want to mention to you too is I have another device here, and this is about 20 bucks. And what this is kind of like, it's by Johnny Stewart, and our Hunter Specialties is what it is. And what it does is it does calls. Now, I'm not using these calls to find out, you know, if Sasquatches are in the area, because of the areas that I'm in. There's some pretty dangerous predators that are out there. So what I do is I usually will have, it's got a remote control. I'll give you an idea of what one of these sounds are here. Get a second here. Here we go. So this is a cottontail, distressed cottontail. Coyote howl. That was a coyote pup. That's a fawn doe distress. And why do I use this? Well, I use it because when I go into an area, I'll usually have this playing as I check the area out to vet it to see whether or not I'm going to have predators in the area. So I usually have a camera on here, or on the duress call, one of my trail cams. And then when I go back into the area, I can check it just to make sure that I'm not going to be accidentally walking into a grizzly, cougar, or a black bear. Plus, you never know. You know, you never know what you might find. So that's like 20 bucks if you're in the States, that is. The other thing is I usually will carry with me a little tablet. I do bring my laptop, but this is good because it's nice and light. So if I'm out checking my cameras and stuff like that, or my recorders, I can actually use this to kind of hear what I'm actually listening for. I can usually listen to it on my recorders, but I like to punch it up a little bit, especially when it comes to my my trail cams. Yeah, let's get on to some other stuff here. So the type of recorders that I use, and there are better ones. Christopher mentioned one where you can record it from, it has a timer on it. I can't remember exactly what the brand name was. But you can use the timer on it so that you can just, instead of having it playing for a whole bunch of times and wasting the battery, you can make it program from, say, 10 o'clock at night to, I don't know, say 6 in the morning kind of thing. Now, because my research is fairly long, what I usually do is I use H1s and H1Ns, and they're like the Zoom brand. And the H1N's pretty good because it actually has a digital thing here, and you can see it a lot better compared to the lower standard one, which doesn't have this on it. But it also has what's called a hold button, and I'll explain why that's kind of important. So for me, if you guys remember when I was talking about Echo Lake, and I pointed out I have recorders here, 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 and here. Now, those recorders, if you have batteries in these are going to last you probably 10 hours, maybe a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, depending on what they're on, if they're on full time. And 10 hours is not long enough when I'm going to areas, because I need at least a week, because I cycle around different areas or different locations. So what I also do is I grabbed one of these, which is a power pack, and you guys are probably familiar with this. This is only like 69 bucks, but the good thing with this particular power pack, and I have a few of them, is I can put them into rubber containers, and they're sheltered from the elements. I'll use one of these recorders, and I'll run a line from there into through a little hole through the plastic container onto this using one of these inverters. Be careful which kind of inverter you get so you don't get one that's too small. This one's 75 watts. Now, why would I do that? Well, the nice thing about it is when I have 3 recorders going with 3 power packs is I have 7 days of recording that I can record on. On top of that, those power packs can charge all of my electronics. And if it happens to be a rainy kind of day out, what I can do is you know, check over my materials on this or my laptop, or watch movies, scary monster Sasquatch movies, just to pass time away till I can get outside. So that's something to be mindful of. The other thing too is, you guys, when you guys pick up your recorders, because a lot of people aren't familiar, you know, after going through hundreds of hours of audio this year, which is on my unfortunate other hard drive, but at least I got a chance to go through most of it, you're not really familiar with how to recognize sounds when you're listening to them in the bush, because sometimes mice will come up and do this and it'll sound like something sniffing it, and it's just a mouse, you know. Or you'll hear a chunk, 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 chunk sound, and people will say, oh, it sounds like bipedal walking. Well, that's usually not bipedal, it's usually a deer or some kind of other animal, I'll say for right now, but it's usually a deer, from what I can tell from what the trot sound is. So the other thing is, when you get your recorder, what's a good thing to do is you do tests with them. So you put this particular recorder, say if you have I have a huge field right here, I can take my recorder here and I can put it, say here, turn it on, and then walk a distance. And as I walk a distance, I'll whistle. So I can tell after a while how far I am and what that sounds like on a recorder. Because these particular zooms, I mean, they pick up pretty clearly for quite a while. And I need to train myself a bit to understand what is the distance I'm hearing. So another way of doing it is, a quick way of doing it is put it by the, if you have a road, put it by the roadside, turn it on, put your car on, honk your horn once, drive a certain kilometer or a certain distance, honk your car horn again, drive the same distance again, so double it, honk your horn, and then do that one more time, honk your horn. That'll give you an idea of what the distance might be carrying in regards to when you're using recorders. I find that really helpful, especially when I'm trying to track down the distance between the sounds that I'm hearing in the forest compared to just hearing sounds in the forest. It gives me a bit more of a measurement to go by. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is with your cameras, your tree cams. Now there's a lot of speculation out there about tree cams and that they can see the camera and they can't see the camera, and you know, whatever. The thing with your cameras again too is if you go and pick up a camera, do the same thing you do with the your recorders. Try your cameras out at home automatically, so you really understand the height of where they should be placed to get the closest and the best view on when it's recording stuff. Sometimes it's too low, sometimes it's too high. You want to have that figured out. The other thing is the distance away from the camera. So if I had this stationed up here, up against the wall here, which is what I did, and then I marked out 60 feet, because this particular one's supposed to be able to take 60 feet. Also did the width to see how wide it was, and then it gave me a perception in my head already, so when I'm in the field I just don't put this up and then later on find out I put it up in the total wrong location. It wasn't even covering the right area. And so you want to practice using that while under a controlled setting, so it's a lot more beneficial for when you're actually in the forest. Makes sense, of course. The other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is, it's not hunting season or anything like that, but here, because there's a lot of hunters, make sure you bring a good reflective coat or vest or something if it's hunting season. On the other side of things, if you're a non-genius laptop computer guy that has his data corrupted and now he has to confess it to his people who watch him online, what I use for editing program is PowerDirect 15, and it's pretty easy to learn. It takes you a bit, especially if you're not a computer person, but after a while it's pretty slick once you figure out how to edit and stuff. And you'll see an evolution in my own personal videos online in regards to the quality of videos that I could do. So if you checked out some of my original videos compared to the videos I do now, you can see a great progression in regards to talent skill compared to what I had before. Okay, so, and I think this is about $100. The zooms here can be anywhere between $100, $120 brand new, but again, go online, you probably can find one for used. At least two of my trail cams were basically $150, so that was $75 each, so that was a pretty good deal too. My GoPro was I think it was $100, so that was a great deal. Now another thing I want to point out to you too is I was graciously given this by Maureen, who's a big BFRO researcher in the Kamloops area, and she was asking me if I was needing one, and I didn't have one in my arsenal, so she was gracious enough to give me this, which is night vision. Now night vision isn't quite the same as FLIR, or sorry, infrared. So what this does is it makes you be able to see the area a lot more lighter than you would, of course, if it's pitch black outside. Now you gotta practice on these a little bit here, because it's not the same as binoculars. As soon as you put it up, you don't see perfectly clear kind of stuff. This one's it's a Bushnell, and it's about $200. But they're pretty handy to have when you're trying to figure out things that are in the bush that are making kind of bizarre kind of sounds. So again, I got this one for free, because thanks Maureen for her graciousness, but you'll be surprised of what you can find online for half the price. So do it that way. Don't spend thousands of dollars. Plus, the reason why I tell you guys not to spend a lot of money is you don't quite know what you need yet. So drop it down to a lower level, figure out what you need, and then in that process you'll figure out, oh, I need a better camera for this reason, and it'll help you. What else do I want to do here? I want to talk to you a little about plaster. A lot of people use commercial plaster. I do use commercial plaster, but what I prefer to do, if it's a really good quality print, is I use what's called precious impressions. Yes, that's right, precious impressions. What this product is for when you have a little baby and you want to make a cast of his foot or her foot or a hand, so that you'll have it as, you know, a memory of them. But the nice thing about this, because I'm a sculptor as well, by the way, is I like using this particular product because it shows absolutely everything. And if I brought out something right now, which I won't for time's sake, but it shows every line, every dermal ridge, every scar, everything that is on my hand is transposed on this. Now this product, you have to make sure, A, it's not raining outside, it's not cold outside, and you have to leave it for at least 8 hours. But the quality If there's anything there, dermal ridges or anything, it'll be picked up by this product. If you can't use this product, then just go to your normal plaster that you would use from your hardware store. And also, oops, sorry about that. So also, pick up this little thing called a wisp, or whisk, and use that when you're using your plaster, because it'll take care of all those little bubbles or all those little chunks that might be in it. You want to make it as smooth as possible. Okay, what else do I want to share here? Oh, how can I forget that? The other thing I use is a drone. Now, because I'm old and fat, and I've dropped dead 6 times, I use this particular drone in areas when before I go in and commit myself into an area, I can take this, besides also going online and looking on Google Earth in the areas that I'm investigating, and send this in ahead of me. And this Mavic's pretty decent because it's got 3 batteries to it, so I have about 45 minutes of flight time. I want to point out with this too is, when you're using a controller, even though it says, you know, you have 45 minutes of flight time, your controller might not be able to keep going as long in regards to its charge as the batteries that you have available to yourself. So sometimes the power pack, again, is a good thing to have, because I can put my controller into the power pack, and then also when one of these are done, I can put these and charge this up when I put a new battery in, and I can almost have endless flight time. So I have about 64 gigabytes of video I can record and keep this up in the air as long as I want. So it's just a really handy thing to have. If you are going to get a drone, make sure in Canada or in the States that you take a peek at the new laws coming in for drone regulation, because they're changing this year. And you need a license now. Oh joy. Okay, so I think that was all I wanted to talk to you guys about. You know, other simple things too, just for safety's sake, make sure you have all-purpose tool or a knife, a good knife, and bring some rope with you. Most of this stuff you guys already know, but make sure that you be safe out there. Make sure you notify people of where you're going. 2 people, not just 1 person. Check out Nick's videos. He's a really good guy. He's a refreshing guy. You guys know who I talk about, bumping into certain characters that aren't awesome in the Bigfoot online community. Nick's pretty solid from what I know of him anyways. So anyways, I want to also put a thank you out to you guys on Facebook who've been a lot of engagement over the winter time, and I really appreciated your support on the Facebook Bigfoot Okanagan page, and you guys on YouTube. I'm glad that I'm getting just the right amount of people. Like I said, I'm not looking for hundreds and hundreds of people or thousands of people to follow me. I'm looking for the right people, and I'm glad that you guys have been cautious about sharing my channel to just the right people and not just anybody, because it is, you know, I'm very fact-based kind of researcher. I don't buy the woo or supernatural stuff. I think there's something else going on there, which you've seen on my videos. So, and hopefully my tech guys can figure out the data on my other stuff so I can show some of those videos. Thomas Steenberg, I just let you know I might be coming back your way, because if I can't get that data, I want to go do that or get all that information that you shared last summer with me. So I think that's it. Take care, you guys. We'll see you in the next video.